He was the biggest star in the world, a king. His life was not his own, it belonged to the public, to the fans, to the flashing cameras. Every move was chronicled, every relationship was a headline, and his marriage was supposed to be the ultimate fairy tale. The rock and roll rebel finally tamed by a beautiful, devoted young woman. They were America's royal couple. They lived in a palace called Graceland. They had a beautiful daughter. The pictures showed a perfect life. But pictures lie, or they don't tell the whole story. Behind the gates of Graceland, behind the smiles for the press, the fairy tale was crumbling. The love was real, or at least it had been, but it was being poisoned. It was dying a slow, painful death from 1,000 little cuts. And, a king can't just go to therapy. A global icon can't just admit to the world that his perfect life is a mess. So he did what he did best. He sang. In 1969, he walked into a recording studio in Memphis. It was part of a huge comeback. He had been lost for years, making silly movies with forgettable soundtracks. He was becoming a joke, but now he was back. He was hungry. He was ready to reclaim his throne. And he found a song. Or maybe the song found him. It was a song about a relationship dying from a lack of trust. A song about two people who love each other, but can no longer believe each other. A song about being trapped. And through that song, he told the world the secret of his marriage. He laid the whole ugly, painful truth out for everyone to hear, but he disguised it. He wrapped it in a soaring melody, a powerful brass section, and one of the most passionate vocal performances of his entire life. People heard a great song, but Priscilla, his wife, heard a confession. She heard their private, late-night arguments broadcast on the radio. The secret was simple, the trust was gone, and without trust, there was nothing left to build on. Their marriage was a house with no foundation, and he knew it was about to collapse. To understand the secret, you have to understand the marriage. It began as a fantasy. He was a soldier in Germany, the most famous soldier in the world. She was the young stepdaughter of an Air Force captain. She was innocent, he was worldly. He saw something in her, a blank slate he could mold into his perfect woman. He told her how to dress, how to wear her hair, how to do her makeup. He created her. And she, a young girl in awe, was happy to be created. When she finally moved to Graceland, she entered a gilded cage. He was often away, shooting movies in Hollywood, and he was not faithful. That was part of the culture he lived in. The king did what he wanted. His entourage, the Memphis Mafia, protected him. They facilitated his affairs and kept him quiet. Priscilla was expected to stay home, to be the perfect doll on the shelf waiting for him to return. She was young and alone. Graceland was a big, empty house when he was gone. She was surrounded by his people, not hers. She lived by his rules. The loneliness was immense. She knew about the other women. The whispers were everywhere. The tabloids printed rumors. He would always deny them, telling her not to read that trash, that she was the only one he loved. And maybe in his heart, he believed it. Maybe he could separate the physical from the emotional. But she couldn't. Every denial chipped away at her trust. Every time he came home from a movie set, she would wonder, was he telling the truth? Did he really love only her? The doubt grew. It became a constant companion. It was a poison seeping into the roots of their relationship. He wanted her to trust him blindly. He demanded absolute faith while offering none of his own fidelity in return. It was an impossible situation. The song's opening lines lay it all bare. We're caught in a trap. It's not just about a fight, it's about a situation with no easy exit. The trap was their marriage. It was their fame. It was the public image of the perfect couple. How could they walk out? The world was watching. He was Elvis Presley. He didn't fail, especially not at love. The pressure to maintain the facade was enormous, so they stayed in the trap. And he admits why they stay. I can't walk out because I love you too much, baby. This is the tragic core of the secret. The love was still there. That's what made it so painful. It wasn't a cold, dead relationship. It was a relationship where two people still had deep feelings for each other, but they were tearing each other apart. If they had hated each other, leaving would have been easy. But they were trapped by the ghost of the love that once was, and the embers of the love that still remained. Then comes the central accusation, the heart of the problem. Why can't you see what you're doing to me, when you don't believe a word I say? On the surface, it sounds like he's the victim. He's pleading with her. Just believe me. But it's so much deeper than that. He is the architect of her disbelief. His actions, his affairs, his denials, his whole lifestyle had created her doubt. He was now suffering the consequences of his own behavior. He was begging for a trust he himself had systematically destroyed. It's a moment of stunning, perhaps unintentional honesty. He's not just singing about her lack of faith in him. He's singing about the entire dynamic of their marriage. He had created a woman who was supposed to be his perfect companion, but he had failed to give her the one thing she needed to fulfill that role, a reason to trust him. And now her doubt was like a constant judgment on him. It was a mirror reflecting his own betrayals back at him, and he couldn't stand it. The song is a cycle of pleading and despair. He asks for one more chance, for a little bit of faith. Don't let a good thing die. He's talking about their history, the good times, the fantasy they had both bought into. He's trying to remind her, and maybe himself, of what they were fighting for. He believes if they can just hold on, they can find that feeling again. Oh, this jealousy. He calls it jealousy, but it was more than that. It was a rational response to constant infidelity. He frames it as her problem, her emotion, but it was a fire he had started and continued to pour gasoline on. By this point in their marriage, Priscilla was no longer just the passive doll. She had started to find her own voice. She was tired of the loneliness. She was tired of the lies. And she had her own affair. It was with a dance instructor, someone who saw her as a person, not just as Mrs. Elvis Presley. It was a desperate attempt to feel seen, to feel desired for who she was. Now, the shoe was on the other foot. He, the king, who could have any woman he wanted, was faced with the possibility of his own wife's infidelity. The thought drove him mad. It was the ultimate betrayal in his eyes, even though it was a direct consequence of his own. The hypocrisy is staggering, but in his world, the rules were different for him. This new reality adds another layer to the song. Now, the suspicion was a two-way street. He suspected her. She suspected him. The trust was completely gone on both sides. The house was now fully engulfed in flames. This leads to the song's powerful, definitive chorus. It's not a question anymore, it's a statement. A sad, final truth. We can't go on together with suspicious minds. He's saying it out loud, he's admitting that the very foundation of their relationship is gone. The words themselves are a death sentence for the marriage. He's not asking, he's telling. This is the state of our union. It's broken. And then, the knockout blow. And we can't build our dreams on suspicious minds. All the plans they had, all the hopes for a future, for growing old together, for watching their daughter grow up in a happy home, it was all impossible. It was like trying to build a skyscraper on quicksand. The dreams were fantasy. The reality was the suspicion, the doubt, the constant looking over the shoulder. He recorded this song in January 1969. It was released in August of that year. The world heard a masterpiece of pop music. A song with an unforgettable hook, a dramatic arrangement, and a vocal performance filled with raw power and emotion. It shot to #1, his first time at the top of the charts in 7 years. It was the triumphant seal on his comeback. He was the king again, but what a dark triumph it was. His greatest professional success in years was a detailed public confession of his deepest personal failure. He was on top of the world, and his world was falling apart. The performance of the song became even more revealing than the recording. When he began performing it live in Las Vegas in 1970, it was an exorcism. Watch the footage. He's not just singing the words, he's living them, he's fighting them. He's drenched in sweat, his body coiled like a spring. He throws karate kicks and chops at the air as if he's physically battling the demons of his own making. During the song's famous false ending, where the music fades out and then comes roaring back, he would often drop to one knee, head bowed like a man in prayer or a man defeated. It was pure theater, but it was real. He was channeling all the pain, all the frustration, all the love, and all the hate he felt for his situation into those 3.5 minutes on stage. He was performing his heartbreak for a paying audience. Priscilla was often in that audience. She said later that it was difficult to watch him sing it. It felt like he was singing directly to her, in a room full of thousands of people. It was their secret argument, their private pain, turned into a spectacle. She knew what every line meant. She knew the history behind every desperate plea. She was watching her husband confess to the world that their marriage was a trap and that they couldn't go on. And they couldn't. The song was a prophecy. After it was released, things did not get better. The trust was never rebuilt. The suspicions only grew deeper. The distance between them became a canyon. They were two people living separate lives under the same roof. The fairy tale was over. All that was left was the paperwork. They separated in 1972, and their divorce was finalized in 1973. It was almost 3 years to the day after the song hit #1. He had sung the future into existence. Or maybe he had just been brave enough or desperate enough to admit what he already knew was inevitable. The secret he revealed was not just that he had cheated or that she was jealous. It was deeper than that. He revealed the complexity of a toxic love. He showed that you can still love someone deeply while simultaneously destroying them. He showed that fame and adoration mean nothing when the person you go home to doesn't believe a word you say. He revealed his own role in the destruction. He wasn't just the victim in the song, he was the cause of the very suspicion he was begging her to abandon. It's the ultimate irony. A man who built his career on love songs, on songs of devotion and surrender, had his last great hit with a song about the complete and total failure of love. He was the king of rock and roll, a symbol of masculinity and control. But in this song, he is out of control. He is helpless, he is trapped, and he admits it. He didn't write the song. A man named Mark James did. But it doesn't matter. Some songs are just songs, and some songs become autobiography. When he sang it, he inhabited it. He made it his own story. He poured the truth of his life into its melody and its words. The original writer's intent was lost, replaced by the raw, painful reality of Elvis and Priscilla Presley. Think of him standing on that stage in Las Vegas. The white jumpsuit, the flashing lights, the screaming fans. He's a god to them, but he sings, "We're caught in a trap, I can't walk out." He's not just a god, he's a prisoner. And he knows it. He's telling everyone who will listen. But most people are too busy cheering to hear the confession. They hear a great performance. They don't hear a man's heart breaking in real time. The secret he revealed was that the king was just a man. A man who had built a perfect-looking life that had become a prison. A man who had everything and nothing at the same time. He had the love of millions, but he had lost the trust of the one person who mattered most. He was trapped in his own image, in his own legend, and in a marriage that was suffocating him. He was singing about the death of trust, and he was admitting that he was the one who had killed it. It was a secret hidden in plain sight, broadcast to the world on a 45 RPM record. The most honest, painful truth of his life, tucked inside his greatest comeback hit. The secret Elvis revealed was the complete, heartbreaking collapse of his own marriage. And he revealed it in the desperate, pleading, and brutally honest lyrics of his final #1 song, Suspicious Minds.